Welcome back. Let's get into the details now. The Auditor General has cracked down on what it describes as massive financial losses under the Agenda 111 hospital program, surcharging 35 contractors and demanding the recovery of $7.9 million in mobilization funds paid out with little to show on the ground. The auditors found that although the state disbursed $11.16 million to contractors working on 19 hospital sites, actual work executed amounted to just $5.96 million, leaving millions of dollars effectively unaccounted for. My colleague Kweku Asante joins me in the studio with details. Kweku, so tell us, let us get to know more details about this.
So this very big detail of the Auditor General involves about 35 contractors who are said to have taken this mobilization fee and have refused to do the work. If you look at the amount of money involved, just like you said at the top of the show, it is about $7.9 million that the Auditor General is now requiring that days be paid to the state, $7.9 million. And you look at the reasoning that Auditor General is giving for this in the report is for the failure of the contractors to move to sites, and others executed less than 10% of the work. We know that this amount of money are paid as mobilization fee for the contractors to put themselves together to go to site and start work before they can raise certificates and then get the substance of the monies that the government will owe them. But a lot of them took this money, did not show up for site, or actually did less than 10%, which qualifies them for this important matter. Also, the number of facilities involved, 19 Agenda 111 hospitals. We know it was such a big thing under the NPP administration. They were not completed. The NDC government took over. And all these matters having to do with payments that were made under the erstwhile NPP administration to contractors to mobilize and get to site and do the work. They haven't done so. And that is why the Auditor General is saying that 7.9 million Ghana cedi paid back to the state because either you refused to mobilize to go to site or you went to site but did less than 10% of the work.
Right. We also have with us anti-corruption campaigner Adam Senanu joining us via phone on this. Adam, what's your initial reaction to this? Okay, we're still trying to establish contact with Adam Senanu. But Kweku, let me come back to you. What more are we gathering? Because we know at least more than 30 contractors have been identified. Do we know exactly who they are?
Some of the names we haven't been able to put out as of yet. And the Auditor General is going on what he calls a crackdown on people that are taking money from the state and are not doing this work. Because ultimately, what the Auditor General should be doing and what he is doing now is going through the books and finding out people that have been paid to do specific works and haven't lived up to that responsibility. They haven't done the work. And that is why he is doing this and surcharging this. 35 contractors involved. And we understand some of these are big names because we know this Agenda 111 hospitals were directly under the office of the president, and they were working on this. And so a lot of contractors went in there, made specific promises about getting some amounts of money to deliver on some part of the work, but haven't been able to do so. The Auditor General is giving us that indication that this will not be limited to just Agenda 111. There'll be a lot more government contracts that have been awarded, and for which people have received mobilization fee and have not done the work. If that applies to you, the Auditor General says it's going to come after you.
Right, Kweku, I'll come back to you. Well, let's get more details on this, and thankfully we have Adam Senanu now. I was asking your initial reaction to this information we have now.
Well, it's a very good thing when our Auditor General is consistently applying his powers to disallow and surcharge. In the past, we've been concerned that there's been an arbitrary, sometimes not very comprehensive approach to dealing with it. Now, the more consistently it's done, the more likely to send a strong message that we are keeping an eye on people who are expending resources unjustifiably. And I think it's good for us as a country. It's good for our good governance.
But what mechanisms should be put in place to prevent this from happening in the future?
Well, I think that if the disallowance and surcharge is done consistently, what it will be is that you have a situation where people know if resources are spent, and there's a review that shows that the justification was not, properly sought, or the funds were misapplied. You now have the situation where, first of all, the money spent will be allowed, which means it must be paid back to corporate. But not just that. If they suspect any intentionality, they surcharge you, which means you are paying over and above what has to be returned. And that's punitive. I think that if this is given a lot of publicity, public officers understand the ramifications of taking such action. The volumes of money being spent unjustifiably, and these kinds of actions will reduce over time.
Right. Also, some people are making the assertion that it's time government took control of its own projects instead of giving it to private contractors. Do you agree with this?
Not necessarily. There will be areas where the expertise required, government doesn't have it. And so to that extent, in those cases, you need to bring on board private operators. Just that, they must have the right kind of expertise, the process must be followed adequately, and you need to make sure that we are not having inflated, invoices. We don't have resources being spent on things which are not part of the plan in the first place. And those kind of things are the things we don't want to see.
Let me come back to you, at least for those who are yet to really understand the auspices of Agenda 111. In the previous administration, how did this, how was this executed?
Yeah, we know that at the height of COVID-19, President Akufo-Addo, through his series of fellow guardian speeches, studied wise that there were so many districts that did not have hospitals or health facilities that were up to a certain standard to treat certain kind of ailment. And so his government intended to embark on a very ambitious Agenda 111. And it didn't really, it's not even lining up to 111 hospitals. It was supposed to be 101 district hospitals.
Yes.
Then there would have been some regional hospitals also in the mix, and then a psychiatric hospital also. And so the government started mobilizing resources to be able to do this. And then they gave the design to David Ajayi and Associates at the time to design the infrastructure. A lot of contractors were then selected to work on various districts in the region, and then they were given mobilization funds for a lot of them. The Auditor General then, having to go into this to audit some of the work that have been done, coming up with a finding that about $7.9 million, involving about 19 Agenda 111 projects across the country, have just not done the work, and that is why he's asking for this money.
Thank you very much, Kwekwa Asante. Well, Adam, your last words, then we move on.
Well, as you know, mobilization typically is to get the contractors to move to site. So you're expecting to see that the site has been cleared, some temporary infrastructure put in place, the initial labor engaged, and have some working capital. Essentially what the Auditor General is saying that when you go to these places, there's no indication that these people are ready to work. I think that our contractors should begin to take note that there's a new standard of expectation. Mobilization doesn't mean go and buy a car for yourself, make yourself, your family and friends happy. Let's get serious and get this country moving forward.
Thank you very much. Adam Senanu is anti-corruption campaigner. Well, let's cross over now to Nungua, where our reporter Noella Yali joins us with update on the water shortage in the area. Noella, what can you report?
Right, Mamiesi, so I'm here at the Baatsonaa East and Central District. It's a community here on the Spintex Road. And like you rightly said, this area has been hit with a water shortage situation that have festered for 2 years. Last year, I was here, I found a story about the situation. The residents told me about how the shortage or the situation had led to a number of issues ranging from health to finance. They told me that, for instance, it had led to some skin-related diseases they have had to deal with. Also, other people complained about how they've had to rainwater harvest as a way of mitigating the situation, while some others also complained about the financial constraints the situation has subjected them to, as many of them have had to succumb to buying water from water tankers who first of all cannot even assure residents of the quality of water they serve them, and also stop at nothing to charge exorbitant prices, twice, thrice, sometimes even 4 times the usual amount they are to charge. I'm standing right here in front of one of those water tankers. I want to interact with the driver of the tanker. Hello, you're welcome to JoyNews.
Yeah.
So what's the size of this tanker?
The size 6,000 liters.
6,000 liters.
Yeah.
Now, if you're to serve me water in an area like this, how much will you take for this size?
For now, you won't get water. There's no water. It's almost about, since for last, there's no water. So as for this one, you won't get.
So how much do you charge for this?
This one, I'm charging 900 Ghana cedis. 900
cedis for 6,000 liters. Okay, I mean, initially, how much were you charging for this? Initially, I mean, before the water shortage situation, how much were you charging for this?
Before the water is around, this one you are charging 700.
700 cedis, and now it's 900 cedis.
No water. Before we get water, it's not easy.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Nyako Peter.
Nyako Peter, thank you so much. So Nyako Peter is a water tanker driver. He's been serving the area for quite a number of months, and you heard him tell us that for a tanker worth 6,000 liters, they charge 900 cedis, specifically in this community. But let me engage further with some of the residents here. Like I said, I came here months ago, last year, and reported on the issue here. And in fact, at the time when I filed the story, I reached out personally to officials at the Ghana Water Company Limited. They acknowledged the challenge in this area, and also mentioned in the statements they released that they had issued a number of initiatives to improve the water situation here. But months on, New Year, residents here tell me that the situation hasn't changed. And I do not want to sound like I am making up this story. And so let's engage further with some of the residents here. I'm standing here with Doris. Doris, how many years have you lived here?
I've lived here for 13 years.
13 years.
Yes.
Tell me about the water situation here in the area. When did it start, and how bad has it gotten?
It started about a year and a half ago, and being a resident here, I went to Ghana Water Company. They are just close here, and asked why the water was not flowing. And they told me they had a problem with the pump, so it will be fixed. We waited for so many months. The water comes sometimes in the night, and you have to come and sit in the mosquitoes in the night, hoping that you get water. You don't get water. And then you go back and ask them why the water is not coming. Then they tell you, it has to do with the area. You guys are living on a hill, so when they pump the water doesn't get to the water doesn't get to us. So we ask, so if the water doesn't get to us, how long do you pump the water? They tell you they pump the water maybe for 4 hours, and then they stop. So we said, okay, if 4 hours the water is not reaching us, why don't you pump it for maybe extra 4 hours, so that we those who are on the hill will be able to get some water. Even if it is one tank, it's okay. They said, okay. You go back, it doesn't happen anyway. And then you go back and ask, why the water is still not flowing? Then they tell you, go to Tema. Go and see the engineer there. Why should I go and see engineer over there? When I need water. I should go and see engineer and tell him that I need water. It doesn't make sense.
And for how long has this gone on?
More than a year and a half. And we still don't have water. And when you call the tankers to bring water, they tell you, they say we shouldn't supply water. Who says you shouldn't supply? Ghana Water says we shouldn't supply water. So if you don't supply water and you're not opening my tap, it's like what you inside the How do we live? There's no water. There's no water. It started a long time ago. Why?
So how do you cope? I mean, last time when I was here and interacted with some of your colleague residents, they told me about how they've had to rainwater harvest and all of that.
I have a lot of tanks in my house. Anytime I see that the cloud has gathered, I have to start arranging my buckets so that when the rain falls, I will get some water. That's how we have been living. Rainwater. If there's no water, you don't even get the tankers. Sometimes they tell you a small tanker, like 3,500 liters, it's 800 cedis. Just for 2 weeks, you have to buy another one. So in a month, you are paying 1,600 cedis. My dear, how much is the salary? You have other responsibilities too. It's so bad. It's so bad. We don't know what they are doing. They don't tell us anything. They don't come and tell us when the water is coming. They don't tell us exactly what the problem is. Or even the Ghana Water, when you go there, they tell you they themselves, they buy water. So if Ghana Water itself is buying water, what about we, the residents? What should we do?
So you heard Doris. Doris is a resident of the community. She's been living here for the past 13 years. And you heard her complain bitterly about the water shortage crisis here at Baatsonaa East and Central on the Spintex Road. But that's not all. I'm walking towards another house. I want to speak to the president of the Residents Association of the community, Mr. Eko, who also, I'm sure, will have a lot to share with us. Mr. Eko, thank you so much for speaking to us. You're welcome to JoyNews. So I can see some empty barrels. If the camera can pan, you'd see empty barrels, empty gallons. And of course, I have here a poly tank that seems empty. This is a 3,000 liter, and this, I think, a 6,000, which the tanker had mentioned earlier that they charge 900 cedis. But tell us about the water situation here.
It has actually deteriorated from the last time that you came here. I mean, we do understand that there are problems all over the place. However, ours has been of such a long-standing nature that we have begun to think that people think that we have all sorts of means to adjust and sweat and suffer, so they do not attend to our issues the way they should. Even in communities like Adenta and other places, racecourse, which used to have a perennial problem, they have specific days. The water is able to get there. And since even the last time that you came, nothing has come. And we still have to contend with all these problems. We have children coming over with skin rashes and all that. And I really appreciate what the MPs go through, because people keep coming to me. There are disadvantaged people, there are poor people who are in the area. They cannot afford the water. You know, you've seen the rates. Yeah. So it is really a big issue for us, and we have to find every other means to be able to have it resolved. It is quite unfair for us not to have water consistently for almost 2 years. I mean, a month or two, fine, if there's somewhere going on. But it is actually unfair. You see, there's another tanker that has just come and stopped over there, right there. So it is something that we are living with on a day-to-day basis. The second issue that we are realizing is that the tankers themselves are having more of a difficulty to even get the water from wherever they get it from. So there's a lot of stories we are hearing of people fetching from streams, fetching from dams. I have evidence. They fetch from dams, they fetch from ponds, they fetch from a disused well.
The quality of the water cannot even be assured.
When you let the water stand, you find oil on it, you find metal, and all sorts of unhealthy tankers are sending the water. So the inside is metal, and you have a lot of stuff coming through that.
But you're the president of the Residents Association. What steps have you taken? Have you tried engaging with, the right authorities? What have they been telling you?
Okay. We have several times approached the authorities. We have a district office here. And the story that they share with us is usually on maintenance issues, and that there's a diversion, and that the water will come, and then it is clear that they do not have a solution, because they themselves buy water at their office. It's not far away. So that story has gone on, and then we started to hear of this issue of the desalination plant in Techi, which has been closed down. I cannot speak to the issue of why, but I understand that there are some financial issues that have to be solved by the government. So that is not working. Then the other source of water that comes through is from the Ashaman motorway end. So now the source from the desalination plant is off. And that is why Teshi is feeling the brunt. They are talking about 5 months. Yesterday, I was listening to JoyNews. 5 months. We have had this problem for 1.5 to 2 years. So the water that they pump, they are supposed to pump for a certain period and ration, so that it's able to climb. We are a little bit of an upper lying area, so that it will be able to climb and then get us to be able to fill our tanks a little bit. And then they put it off. They are also apparently complaining that they don't want to spend on electricity for the pumps. Wow. Yes, this is something that I've also heard. So there is a plethora of issues, and if we don't take any decisions, we cannot survive. Yeah.
But again, in the context of you being the president of the Residents Association, they say if the mountain won't come to Mohammed, Mohammed must go to the mountain. How are you galvanizing your co-residents to, amidst the scarcity, look for some sort of a solution, since the right authorities are in the... Have you considered probably digging a borehole? What are some of the things you have considered to solve the situation? Okay,
the suggestion of a borehole has come up before. Now, the problem is that the salt content of the soil that we have in this area is really, really high. So if, apart from the fact that the borehole itself is an expensive, expensive equipment that you can use that you need reverse osmosis machines to be able to make the water potable. And it's such a prohibitive cost that on a community level so far, we've not been able to get... A lot of ideas have gone around. Let's contribute and buy a truck so that it goes and gets the water. But where are you going to get the water and all that? So there are attempts that we've made. However, we are of the firm opinion that the supplementary means that communities will use to shore themselves up when there are short periods of scarcity, they don't justify such a long period of not being supplied. We need to get the water. It is due us for us to get water to manage our lives and manage our households. I hope you understand what I mean.
Understand.
It's good you're asking this question because we've thought about it. However, so far it has not been found tenable or financially viable, So that is where we are with that aspect.
Right. So you heard from the president of the Residents Association of Baatsonaa East and Central here on the Spintex Road. I want to engage further a school that is also in the community. Months ago when I visited, they also complained bitterly about some of the
Well, Karen Yali giving us updates of the water situation in Baatsonaa. We'll get more on that later. Now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union has called for the removal of the Transport Minister Joseph Bukari Nikpe, accusing him of poor management of the transport sector in Accra and other major cities. According to the country's largest private transport union, while it is observing improvements in the performance of some other ministers, the Transport Minister has shown incompetence in effectively addressing the challenges confronting the sector. This call comes in the wake of worsening transport situation in the capital, Accra. My colleague Fatal Bayaga has been speaking to passengers, many of whom are pleading for urgent deployment of additional buses to ease the growing gridlock. Now, Fatal Bayaga joins me with some updates. Where have you been and what did you find out, Fatal?
Mami, the transportation crisis here in Accra is becoming pervasive, and many of the places that we went there, many commuters or several commuters were struggling to get vehicles to travel to their destinations. They said that this has
to their destinations. They said that this has been a continuous situation. It started before the festive season, and they thought that it would have reduced by now, but it seems to be getting worse day after day, and this is leaving them so frustrated. Some of them tell me that they mostly get to work every day because of this particular challenge. They get to the transport stations as early as 5, 6 a.m. Cars are not always available, making it really difficult for them. In fact, I spoke with a pregnant woman who said that she was in a long queue for about an hour, and vehicles were not, showing up to be able to get to the hospital. So this is a very serious situation here in Accra. But I spoke with the GPRTU, the second public relations officer of the union, and he spoke about the fact that the Minister of Transport has proven to be incompetent in managing this particular crisis. In fact, he said that the minister has not engaged them to be able to address this very, glaring challenge that is leaving a lot of commuters stranded almost every morning and evening. He said now, he heard that the minister is now summoning GPRT and other transport unions for a meeting. He believes that it's because of the pressure that they've been piling on the minister. That is the reason why he is calling for this meeting. He also cited examples like the city stability, among others, and he said that the various ministers, other ministers like the finance minister, they are working very hard, and in their aspects, he is seeing improvement. But when it comes to the transportation sector, the transport minister, Joseph Bukari Nikwe, has not shown that level of commitment, and that for him is a very big worry. He spoke about the fact that as we speak, spare parts prices are still exorbitant. They've been talking about this almost every day, and many of their members are even out of business because of this. Their cars have broken down. They cannot afford this transport, these spare parts. But the Minister of Transport seems to be aloof, or he is not, responding promptly in terms of addressing this particular challenge. And he is calling for the sacking of the minister today. So this has been the situation here at the, in part of Accra. We were at the La Paz Tema station, and many commuters were stranded. We saw other commuters stranded by the roadside, and they tell me that this is a daily ritual. It's something that happens almost every day, and they need government's intervention in addressing this particular situation. Mami.
Right. Thank you, Fatal Bayaga, for the update. But is this shortage of vehicles artificial or natural? Here's Minister responsible for government communications, Felix Kwachifosu.
And I know that if, for instance, you wanted a vehicle from, say, the heart of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange or circle, as we used to call it, to Achimota, you will go to a particular spot at the station where you know you are most likely to catch such a vehicle. Now, some of these operators do not go to the designated spots. They roam in the hope that the shortage that is created will compel passengers or commuters to part with more money than they should ordinarily pay. They are creating scarcity to drive up prices so that they can engage in rent-seeking behavior. It is unlawful activity.
Spare part dealers at Baatsonaa are rejecting claims that the high cost of parts is responsible for the shortage of public transport vehicles, insisting they should not be blamed for commuters' ongoing frustration. Stephen Mensah has more from Baatsonaa, where the government says it plans to introduce electric buses to ease the transport challenges.
Spare parts traders at Baatsonaa say assertions by some commercial drivers linking the shortage of public transport vehicles to high parts prices are misleading. According to them, prices have remained relatively stable, especially following recent gains by the city on the foreign exchange market. Chairman of the Baatsonaa Spare Parts Dealers Association, Frank Ochre, insists dealers are not responsible for the shortage or the persistence of high transport fares. The development follows weeks of nationwide shortages amid concerns that some operators may be artificially creating scarcity.
And in Ghana, we all use different cars. You understand? So we told them with Sprinter, we are working with the people, the importers that brings the engines and parts in. We are dialoguing with them. But if you come to Toyota, Vitz, with Uber and everything, prices have dropped. Batteries, headlights, shocks. I mean, the dollar is down, so there's no reason why we are raising our prices. You understand? We have a challenge with the Sprinter, the people that sell the Sprinters. That's the only challenge we have. But aside that, you can go to all the stores around here. Prices have dropped. I have engines here that I was selling for 15,000. Now I'm selling for 10,000. And it's just a few people that bring the Sprinter engines and parts to Ghana. It's about maybe 8 people.
As the debate rages on, government says it is set to introduce electric buses as part of measures to ease the transport challenges and reduce pressure on the public transport system. Mayor of Accra, Michael Kpakpo Alote, during a visit to Baatsonaa, says the initiative is aimed at improving the weeks-old transport challenge.
AMA is bringing electric buses. We are starting the first metro transport in Accra, which we are going to have a very cheaper fares. It's electric bus, so we don't buy fuel. So with 3 CD, 4 CD, you can go wherever you want to go. And the price is going to be the same. Right now, we are pleading on the drivers that we beg them. Things are cheap. Petrol is, the fuel price is down. I mean, Baatsonaa, the prices are down.
He also outlined plans to redevelop and beautify the Obechebi-Lamte interchange, describing it as a key priority of his administration.
If you look at the roundabout area, and if you look at under the bridges, there are a couple of places that we can have a car park. What we have to do is just have to fix the place. And there is a land at Agbogboshin that a place needs to be tiled, and we can get the cars parked there.
With the situation persisting and commuters growing increasingly frustrated, expectations remain high for government to act swiftly to ease the burden. Stephen Mensah's report for Joy News.
Now, residents of Kumasi are counting on the government to pay attention to some 4 major stalled road projects in the city to ease congestion and open up the city for business. Kumasi has seen a number of dual carriage roads truncating into single lanes, causing many of the city's traffic congestion. They also hope the Sewa Road will be completed immediately to properly link Kumasi to the new regional hospital. Erastus Asaridonko has been touring these 4 road projects and now reports.
So this is a 7-kilometer road linking Kumasi and Sewa. This is where the Sewa Hospital has been established. This road is one of the main reasons why the hospital has not been operationalized. It will serve quite a number of people as a regional hospital for Ashanti region. And it's on the top and hearts of many.
We are really suffering on this road. We need quota. We are always servicing our cars. We have to visit the mechanic after every trip.
Dual carriage roads terminating into small single lanes have been the cause of many of Kumasi's traffic congestion. Moves by the previous administration to dualize and construct some major roads could not be completed. One of them is the Bekwai roundabout Santasi stretch, which has stalled for months.
As you can see, they haven't completed the road, but it has been abandoned. They should fix it for us. It would help us, the motorists, and ease the traffic congestion.
In Kumasi, the major traffic problem stems from dual carriage roads truncating into single lanes like this one. The Santasi roundabout dual carriage road truncates into a single lane here at Kokobing, and it moves all the way on the Obuasi road towards Anyankwanta and beyond. Now the previous government tried to fix the problem. In some parts of this stretch, the road has been cleared, certain works have been done, but it has been abandoned. If this government prioritized this part of the road, it will create a dual carriage road from Santasi roundabout all the way to Anyankwanta, and it will link the Obuasi road and clear this traffic you see here.
The shoulders of both lanes of the road are degrading. It's scary when you are approaching an oncoming vehicle. We plead with the government to resume works on the
road. This is a major solution to huge traffic congestion on the N6, which is the Asukwa interchange, to the Ahojo roundabout. Perhaps this is a response from government to all the road expectations of Ashanti region to say that we are dualizing this road and linking it to the rest of Kumasi, and the rest will follow. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
Motorists in Kumasi have expressed frustration over malfunctioning traffic lights that have turned intersections into danger zones. They say the faulty signals are causing confusion and frequent accidents. calling on authorities to take swift action to restore order. A visit to Ofokrom municipality revealed that the key traffic lights at the Poku Transport Junction have broken down for years. More in this report by Francis Mensah. Read to you.
The principal road linking Angroga Junction to Tech has turned hazardous for motorists and pedestrians as the non-functioning traffic lights continue to cause near misses, especially during peak hours. The situation has led to persistent traffic congestion as the police, motor traffic and transport department has not stepped in to manage the flow. Some residents noted that the malfunctioning signals have caused multiple accidents and appealed for immediate intervention. They added that the prolonged outage has forced many drivers to rely on makeshift arrangements, creating confusion and increasing the risk of accidents on what used to be a well-ordered stretch of road. The concerned motorists described Ofokrom as a rapidly growing commercial hub and underscored the urgent need for authorities to fix the traffic light.
So as the traffic light is off, crossing becomes difficult because there's a traffic light at the Angraga Junction. So when it's on and the cars are coming, they don't stop. Okay, so it makes it difficult to cross because if you don't take care and the car is coming, it might knock you down. Yeah, and sometimes it causes traffic over here because there are other cars coming from this side and then cars that want to go to this side too. So it causes too much traffic here. So we are pleading with the government to help us fix the traffic lights.
Responding to the concerns, the Ofokrom Municipal Chief Executive Anwar Sadat Ahmed said the Urban Roads Department awarded a traffic light repair contract on a pre-financed basis, but the contractor claimed it lacked the upfront funds to begin work.
Public transport, traffic lights, it has been a major challenge. Ever since I assumed office, we have been putting measures how to come halfway to even meet it. And it's not as easy as we all thought. Gradually, we are doing our efforts. We are doing much. We are putting in much measures how to bring back the street that traffic light. Everything is on course. Just that with the procurement system and the government. So I'm assuring you that we are taking it and we are absorbing it upon ourselves. The municipality is trying to absorb the burden on itself so that we can procure or contract the K-University mechanical and electrical engineers to come in, intervene and also assist us. So it's on course.
He added the assembly is set to cover the expense to repair the signals with a project earmarked for the 2026 budget. Francis Mensah's report for Joy News.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk with me, Michelle Thompson. Business is next after this break.
Thanks for staying with us. I am Michelle Lejekum. Let's settle for some business stories. Now, government has assured that port users and importers will not be made to pay any extra costs from the deployment of the artificial intelligence system at the country's port. Now, the system is aimed at ensuring efficiency and accuracy in duty payments. Speaking to the business community at the stakeholders' engagement in Accra, Deputy Minister of Finance Thomas Nyako Ampem assured that the system will promote fairness. Here is more.
Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority says the installation of an artificial intelligence system at the ports is aimed at creating a more efficient and transparent environment for users. However, some businesses have raised concerns about the new system, particularly as the Integrated Customs Management System, ICOMS, is already operational and providing similar services. Stakeholders have questioned the affordability of the AI system and its potential impact on the operations. At a stakeholder engagement in Accra, the Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Ampem Nyako, assured importers and exporters that they will not be required to pay additional fees for the service.
This implementation is not coming at any cost to you. We never said that we are not paying the service provider. So let's get the two correctly. We never said that the service provider will not be paid. What we said is that we are not charging you any extra fee for the service. For the burden for the payment of the service provider will not be on you. That is why I referred to my brother and said I support his statement that you won't pay a kobo, you won't pay a dime, you won't pay a naira, you won't pay whatever examples he used. So that is the distinction.
Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Clement Boateng, in an interview with Joy Business, acknowledged the need for automation at the ports, but stressed the importance of broader engagement with traders by the GRA.
Minister, as well as the Commissioner General, has assured us that this is the first day of stakeholder engagement. We will continue the stakeholder engagement, and even after the implementation, they will solicit the feedbacks that will come, and if there is the need to maybe improve upon it, they will do that. So they have pleaded with us to let the implementation start, whilst there's still the stakeholder engagement will also go on.
The AI-powered automation system is expected to complement existing port systems, improve efficiency and boost revenue collection once fully operational.
Away from that, after years of implementation, the United Nations World Food Programme is transforming Ghana's school feeding program with the introduction of supply and fortified rice to both public and private schools across the country. The pilot initiative, ongoing in 7 regions of the country, seeks to assess the feasibility and economic gains on scaling up rice fortification in Ghana while creating market opportunities for local smallholder farmers. Now, over 150,000 students in both basic and senior high schools are being targeted under the project to be supplied with rice containing essential nutrients to improve nutrition and learning outcomes for school-aged children. There's more in this report.
Available data shows that both local and imported rice grains on Ghana's local market are low in essential nutrients like minerals and vitamins after undergoing rigorous milling processes and heat extrusion. These polished rice grains are found to be denying the public of needed essential nutrients for body development. The World Food Programme's Rice Fortification Project aims to address micronutrient deficiencies, boost school enrollment and attendance, and enhance academic performance in underserved communities. Through the initiative, the World Food Programme procured and delivered 4 rice fortification equipment valued at $80,000 to 4 millers across 4 regions. Franco Food Processing and Farms at Ejuso is one of the 4 millers in the country selected to produce locally fortified rice. Solomon Osei-Safo is the production manager.
Thin layer of rich nutrients film around the rice grain. Now, this is what we take away to make the rice look white. And then by so doing, we're actually depriving the consumer nutrients that are required for the body. Because of the stereotyping for white rice, we end up taking away that important part of the rice and then storing them to give to poultry, to give to cattle as feed. But these are the most important part of the rice, or the most nutritious part of the rice that should be benefiting the human being.
The bags of rice are distributed to schools through the caterers in basic schools and through the National Food Buffer Stock Company for the senior high schools.
We are expecting the next contract, which is probably about 45,000 or 50 kg rice to supply to the senior schools. So I think the World Food Programme in Ghana, as at now, they are doing, and so I'm glad that you guys are here.
The Ejuso Senior High Technical School in the Ashanti region is one of the schools benefiting under the program. Reverend Emmanuel Addo is the Ashanti Regional Coordinator for the School Health Education Program.
Yeah, actually, our students were eating polished rice. Actually, it's good, but not all that good for their health, because some of the nutrients have been taken away from the polished rice. So the WFP came in support by introducing parboil on polished rice, which contains a lot of nutrients in the rice. So for humans' life, there's supposed to be something that will help the body. and the person as well.
The World Food Programme is now conducting a cost-benefit analysis to guide a potential nationwide scale-up of fortified rice consumption in schools under Ghana's school feeding program, with the aim of making it a staple for students across the country. For JoyNews, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
And that'll be all for business right here on JoyNews Desk. I am Michelle Lejekum. The small business news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Isi.
Thank you, Michelle. Now, it has emerged that the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment is cash-strapped. The sector minister has disclosed the predicament has crippled the ministry's ability to implement the National Service Authority's military training program. He disclosed the financial challenge has emerged because the Finance Ministry has failed to release its share of statutory funds from the Communications Service Tax under the Communications Service Tax Act 2008, Act 754. At least 20% of CST revenue is meant to finance youth development programs. He made this known during a working visit by Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman on Wednesday, while pleading for her intervention. There's more in the following report.
At the Ministry of Youth Development and Recreation, the Minister, George Opari-Addo, took the Vice President through programs being implemented under the Ministry's 4 agencies, highlighting key achievements.
Your Excellency, the Ministry was established by Executive Instrument 2025, E1 2025. And like I said, all the functional directorates have been established, all our governing boards have been inaugurated. 2 or 3 of His Excellency's flagship programs sit with us. The National Apprenticeship Program, which is ongoing, and I'll give details later on. The Jumeirah Program, which is also ongoing.
He added that the ministry is yet to implement the NSA military training program because of financial constraints and appealed for the Vice President's intervention.
The only one that should have started last year. We've done everything, but finance have not released funds yet. It's the National Service Military Training. But we are still in talks with the Finance Minister, and he's assured us that this year we'll have the funds to roll that program out.
In response, the Vice President urged the ministry to explore innovative ways of generating funds as government has a lot on its hands.
Let's say not too long ago, just recently, we used so much money just to pay debts. And, I was sitting there telling myself, oh, I wish half of that money was given to me. And what would I have used it for? Maybe not for the Women's Bank yet. That's in the offing. At the right time, we'll talk about it. But I would have been happy just to go to the public primary schools and make nice playgrounds for the children. The children also learn through play, and all of that. But I'm just saying that there are a few issues. So we should be interested in ways in which we can grow the national pie. I keep saying, I think I've said that elsewhere, that I'm not so much interested in apportioning what we have. I'm interested in ensuring that what we have gets bigger. What I mean is this. Let's say the whole national budget is 100 cedis, and so we're all fighting. And this one should get 10%, and that one should get 1%, and so on. Assuming the total is 200 and not 100, then even if you got a small percentage, it's still bigger. Okay, so growing the economy should be of paramount importance.
The Vice President is expected to extend her working visits to ministries headed by officials who previously served as ministers or deputy ministers. For Joy News, Gemma Apia.
And that's how we wrap up JoyNews Desk with me, Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. See you again